Hi, I'm Suzanne Esper. Welcome to the Night School. Hi, my name is Suzanne Esper, and in this video tutorial I'm going to show you how to make my signature open peony. So let's get going. So we're going to be using a cutter. This one's from a set of 4. This one's actually by a company called Petal, and it doesn't actually really matter the cutter that you use. You want to make sure that it's got nice scalloped edges. That's all we're looking for. And I like this one. This is the largest in the set because we're wanting to make quite a big flower. The veiner that I'm going to use is by a company called Sugar Art Studios, and I absolutely love their veiners. This one's perfect because it's got really nice deep indentations, and that's going to lend to this open peony effect. Okay, so I've got my paste ready. I've already pre-coloured it up. This one's a kind of corally colour. We're going to be making our centres in a pale green, and we're going to be using some stamens as well. So I'll get on and make the centres first. Okay, so this is actually just eucalyptus. It's a pro gel paste. I just use a little piece of it, mixed it in. So you have to warm up your paste. So there's 2 ways that I do the centres of this open peony. You can decide which way you'd like, and I'll just demonstrate them for you. So you need to warm up your paste and your fingers. If it gets a little bit sticky, you want to put some shortening on your fingers just to mix it in. And this is going to condition your paste. So just warm it up. For the first version, we need 3 balls of paste that are similar sizes. We don't need them massive, so just pinch off 3. You just want to make sure they're kind of similar. Okay, and if one is bigger than the other, just take a little piece off. That looks good, right. Pop this away. So for these open peonies, whether you do this version or the next version, you need 3. They need to be the same. Just mush it up in your hand and roll it into a ball. Okay? Use the heat of your hand. This is going to get out any creases and cracks. Then we're going to make it into a little bit of a teardrop shape. So place it on the palm of your hand and use your finger to roll at one end, and that's going to create a point. Okay? That's fine. And repeat that with the other 2. Okay, and the last one. If your paste is dry, you're going to have cracks in it and it's not going to look so good. So just make sure you take time to warm this up. Next, we're going to place these on wires. Now this is going to form the centre of your flower. These aren't particularly heavy, so we're going to go for 24 gauge wire. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is get our glue. I like to use pre-made glue. Dip the end of your wire into the glue. Take off the excess by wiping it on your wrist. Now you're going to feed the wire at the pointy end of your teardrop. You're going to push it in, and you're going to get it to go about 2/3 of the way. So it looks like a little balloon. Then we're going to use this method. It's called the twiddle method. We're going to pinch just underneath slightly and kind of push it onto the wire. Then we're going to basically twist and turn. So this is called the twiddle back and forth. When you do it, the ball tends to move up. So just make sure you keep pulling it back down. So twiddle. And all we're doing at this stage is thinning the neck so that we don't have a big bulky neck on it. Pinch off the excess. Okay, so it looks like this. So do that with your other 2 balls. Okay, and do the same. Pinch underneath. Go back and forth doing the twiddle. Make sure it's sufficiently pushed onto your wire. You can hook the wire if you like. I just let these dry overnight and they're absolutely fine. They don't tend to come off. Okay, just twiddle it on. By twiddling it onto your wire, you're actually securing the paste onto your wire. Okay, like such. Okay, the next thing you need to do is we're going to pinch the ends of it. Now my hands are quite sticky now from working with shortening and glue. So I have some corn flour here and I'm just going to rub my fingers and that's going to stop them sticking. So what I would like you to do is lift up one of your centres, put the wire towards you, hold your fingers side by side so your thumb and your forefinger are going to push down and you're going to make what looks like little Minnie Mouse ears. Okay, try and get it even. Flatten out the very tips there. You're going to leave a little lip in the centre and that's absolutely fine, that's what we're looking for. But you want these super fine. Okay, so just keep going back and forth pinching it. If you've got really warm hands, just keep dabbing them in that corn flour to stop them sticking. And then we're going to bend one towards us and one away from us. So holding the base in your hand, bring one of the ears towards you and one away. Okay? So now I want you to do that with the other two. So thin them out. Bend one towards you, one away from you. And same again. Okay, so that's us got our 3 centres. So now we can move on to the next stage. So that's us, we have our 3 centres. I like to dry these overnight and then I'm going to, in the morning, just bend the heads back a little bit so that they're sat at an angle. So I'll just move these out of the way and I'll show you the second way to make the centres. Okay, so that's us. We're back again to make the next centre stage. So this is a different style of centre. I'm only going to demonstrate one. So you need to pinch off 3 balls when you're making them. We're going to make a cone again, just like before. We're going to put a little point on it. Okay, get one of your wires and dip it into the glue. Brush off the excess. This time we're going to feed the wire up the widest part of that teardrop, like such. Again, just underneath, gently pinch a little bit. We're going to make that neck so that it sticks to the wire. So we're just doing a very, very small twiddle on there, like so. The next stage you're going to do is you're going to get a wheel tool and we're going to basically run it up into 3 sections. So place it in your hand, it's a little bit easier to hold it. Going to run that wheel along the length of it. Just think about 3 sections. Okay, like so. And then just gently bend it to one side. Then you'd make 3 of those, okay, and dry those overnight. So now we're about to prepare the petals for the open peony. I tell all my students to make 15 petals. We're actually only going to use 12, but there's an extra 3 for safety. If you drop any, then you have some spares as a backup. You don't want to get to the end and realise you don't have enough petals because you've dropped a couple. They do get very delicate because we're going to ruffle them out quite fine, so I think it's good practice to make a few extra spares. Okay, so let's get going. So I've already pre-coloured up my paste. This is just Renshaw flower paste. I've made it a kind of corally colour by adding peach with a little touch of pink. Okay, so like before, we're going to have to warm this up. Get it into the condition we need it. If you find it sticky, put a little bit of shortening on your fingers. Okay. And then we're going to put a little bit of shortening on our board. Now, I'm going to demonstrate the cheat method. This is called the twiddle method of attaching a wire to your petal. This is the fastest way to get that wire attached without having to use a groove board, which is one of these on the opposite side. They can slow you down. And really, it's just for family, friends. Nobody's going to know that you've done the cheat method. It's absolutely fine. If you're entering a competition, you would like to use this groove board for sure. Okay, so The idea is you're wanting to roll this thin, but not too thin. We are going to ruffle the edges really hard. The more thinner the paste, the more brittle the flour is, and that's for sure we're going to break them. So just keep lifting it up and turning it. We need to just roll it out a little bit more. Okay, so that feels fine enough, that looks good. It's a little bit sticky, so get your corn flour and just dust it over. Take off that stickiness. Now, as I said before, we need 12 petals and we're going to cut out 15. I'm just going to demonstrate with the one and then I'll show you how I've made the rest. So place it on. Some of these cutters don't cut so well actually, and I'll just demonstrate that for you. So when you place it on and you wiggle it back and forth, you can usually tell if it's a good cut or not. So this one is not cutting very clean. So instead, we're going to turn the cutter upside down. We're going to place our paste on top, and then you're just going to roll over the top with your rolling pin. And what that does is it means that you've got this perfectly cut petal. So if you do struggle with any of your cutters, just turn it upside down. Okay, and I'm going to pop this away. I do need one little piece for the twiddle method. Okay, so to stop this drying out, you should place it into a petal protector or a poly pocket, just something to stop it drying, between two bits of plastic preferably. So we're going to be using 24 gauge wire. You don't have to go any higher or any thicker, it's absolutely fine. And now we're going to attach this little piece of paste to the wire, and this is known as the twiddle method. We're going to do twisting it up the length of that wire, and we want to get it to the stage where it's going to go into your petal at least about halfway. If it's too thick, you can thin it down by just running your fingers down the length of it, twiddling back and forth. And then if it is too long, you can just pinch a little bit off the bottom. Okay, so you need to keep this from drying out. Place it into your wallet. First thing we have to do is we're going to have to thin out your petals. So get your petal pad and your ball tool. Remove your petal from the wallet, and we're going to go round the petal, so the ball needs to be half on and half off. So this is creating a nice ruffle already. Then grab your veiner and your twiddle and place it onto the back end of the veiner, and your petal should line up with the twiddle. Just give it a nice gentle flatten, place your veiner on top and give it a really nice solid push. Now this one, don't push too hard, only because it's very, very deep and you don't want to tear your petal. If you do, it's not a problem, I'll show you how to fix it. So walk up the wire. Now this is completely attached, which is what you want. And how fast was that? So place it face down onto your pad. So this is where we're going to have a little bit of fun with it. So I need you to switch to a smaller ball tool. So I have the second one in this set, and I'm going to use the next size up, so which I'm going to go back and forth. And I'm going to hold it like a pencil, and I'm going to rub back and forth on the edge as if I've made a mistake. So you're only going to work in like a centimetre at a time, and you're going to stay in the same place until you've ruffled it really fine. You don't need to hold this, just let it free float. Back and forth as if you've made that mistake. Okay, as such. Then bring it towards you. Now, with the ball tool, we're going to draw that edge towards you. When you place it at the top and you pull, it will start to curl in the way. Then you want to do that about 2 to 3 times, maybe at the side as well. So you can see that it's already got a little bit of shape. To help it keep that shape, we're going to dry it in an apple tray or a pear tray. You can get these from your local supermarket, if you ask nicely. And because this is a pear one, I'm going to curve it to the shape of that pear. Okay, and you want to make sure that the wire's nicely flat. If it's in an apple tray, bend it to the shape. Whatever you're doing, just bend it to the shape. Okay, so then what I would do is I would go ahead and I would fill all this up so that I've got my 15 petals done. So I've already done that, so I'll just grab those and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so I have my dried petals in front of me, and I've gone ahead and I've bent back the wire. So just to show you how to do that, this is how they would have dried in the mould. Just bring them back, hold the bottom of the petal so it doesn't snap, and just gently bend that wire back right at the neck. You don't want to bend it further down because it's not going to sit nice and close. So I've gone ahead, I've done that for the 15. Now we're going to go back to our centres, and what I need to do is I need to bend them so that they're bending away from the middle. So again, I just hold the ball part of it gently, and I'm just going to almost like snapping its neck slightly. So just do all three, so they're all going in the same orientation. Next, I have a little bunch of stamens. These are culprits, and these are medium matte white. I use the matte so that you can dust them up if you want to. For this method just now, I'm just going to keep them white. Okay, so they come with a little wire around them to keep them from going everywhere. So take that wire off. Now what I tend to do when you buy one pack of stamens, these can be quite dear. I would split them into two and use half a pack per flower. But for this one I'm going to use these all. But the wire that it came with is not strong enough for what I need to do. So instead I'm going to switch to a 24 gauge wire. And I'm going to wrap it around the centre of these stamens. You want to get the stamens all bunched up to the same height. Okay, we're going to wrap that around the centre like a T, and then twist the two legs of the wire together. Okay, so we've got this. You want it roughly in the centre if you can. Then you're going to bend these upright. So sometimes you can do it, if it's quite a big bunch, you can do it in two and put them together. Okay, so they're going to sit upright, but we need to make sure we put some tape round. So to attach this together, I'm going to use full length, full width tape. Hold your stamens upside down and just hold them together so that you get enough room to get this tape round. Place it at the bottom and pull it really tight so it sticks to itself. Okay, and then work your way down the length of that wire. We can do this again if it looks like it's not going to hold. Okay, so which I am going to do. So you're wanting to add the tape about 1 centimetre from the bottom. Okay, that's better. And then work your way down. And you're constantly pulling that tape so that it sticks to itself. Then you're going to open these up, like kind of just pull them out. These are on like a kind of stiffer wire, so they don't just flop. Some stamens are on thread and they just flop to the side. These ones are wire, so you need to help open them up. That looks good. Next, I'm going to attach our centres, and these, the reason we bent them is so that they can sit underneath there really nice and tight. Okay, so I'll go ahead and I'll get my thin tape this time. This is half width. Place it on, stick it to itself, and then twist it up. And we're going to go right underneath the neck of that. Okay, so that's one on. And get your next one, and you're going to add them spread out evenly because you need to get 3 on there. So these have been drying overnight, so they should be quite solid. And our last one. So if it looks like it could do with being a little bit more bent, go ahead and do it. Okay, and then take that down the length of your centre. There we go. Okay, so what we'll do is we're going to trim this down a little bit later. So there we have it, that's the centre of the peony. Now we're going to go ahead and attach the petals. So we're going to add 6 at a time. So the first layer is going to be 6, the second layer is 6. And remember, you've got your 3 spares just in case. Because we're adding 12 wires to this flower, the stem is going to end up getting quite thick. So to help debulk it, we're going to use the half width again. And then we're going to trim down the wires as we go too. Okay, so we're going to work with 6 at a time. So we'll have my 6 here. And I've already bent back the wire, so I'm ready to go. So I'm going to take my first one. I'm going to place it right underneath. So you can see there's no gap. When you look in the flower, you can't see any gappy bits. Again, just attach your first one I tend to do one at a time with these because I end up dropping them. And it's very depressing when you break your flowers after you've made them. Okay, so that's nice and secure. Then I'm going to start directly next to that one, and it's overlapping slightly. We've got 6 to get round it. Again, go right underneath and work it down just a little bit. Grab your next one, place it underneath again. Always make sure it's butting up underneath so that there's no gaps and it's as tight as it can be. Now these sound really delicate, and that's because they are. You can hear the sugar rattling against each other. Okay. Once you've got the 6 on, you can rearrange them, but the main thing is get your 6 on. And you always end up with a thicker neck on this. That's the way it is. Okay, bring your tape down. Okay, I'm going to get a little piece more. Add your next one. If you were going to dust these flowers, you would dust it before you assemble them. And it's very easy to dust these. Okay, my last one. So this one goes behind the last one we put, but in front of that first one. So just open it out slightly, it's going to slot in. Okay, so that's us got our first 6 on, and they're looking good. Okay, so the next 6 are actually going to sit directly underneath. If you've got any that you don't like, you can always rearrange it. Just make sure you don't break it. That one's just sitting a little bit too low. Okay, there we go. So grab your tape again, get yourself organised. We're going to add 6. So just in between where 2 overlap. And again, it's not really a big deal because we can move them once they're in position. So I like to add the tape about 1 inch down and then work up, just so that I'm not all fingers and thumbs. Okay, and these ones don't overlap. You just place them on round in a circle. So once you get into it, you can keep adding. So make sure you're working the tape up and down the length, just so that they don't spin. Okay, I'm going to get some more. Have a look where you want to place it. Go ahead and attach. Okay, see where your next one's going. That's good. Okay, so I've only got 1 more petal left and I haven't broke any yet. Right, have a look. So I can see from here I need something over this side. So again, add some tape. And we're going to go back with a thicker tape just to cover up all the gaps here. Okay, so now that I've got all my 12 petals on, I'm going to rearrange them. This is another flower that's really beautiful, and you can open it up. So you've got this gorgeous statement flower. So I'm going to go ahead, tidy up the length of these wires, get the thick tape on, and that's us, we made our open peony. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've trimmed the base of it. I'm now going to go back with the thick wire, the thick tape, just to tidy it up. So start about 1 inch down, and you're going to stretch and pull that tape, go to the top all the way to the bottom, and we're going to conceal those cut wires. Okay, so that's me. I went up to the top. I'm now going to the bottom of the flower. Okay, once I get to the bottom, I'm going to just turn it over, so that the tape's actually going over the end of those wires. And I can do that several times, so I can go up and down, up and over, and keeping that tape super tight. There we go. And then just pinch that off. Arrange your flower how you like it. And there you go, that's us, we've got our open peony. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson, and I hope to see you again soon. Thank you.